This video is one that I cannot believe that I must do. But I must do it because this video is all about the urgent warning. And I'm serious, folks. This is an urgent warning to all Black people, people of color, LGBTQ, and any part of the alphabet that you think you might be, or actually are. This is an urgent warning to stay away from Florida. Now, I'm walking through my neighborhood and the property behind me happens to be for sale. And I haven't forgot about the urgent warning. Trust me, I'm going to go into it in great detail. But I bring up this home in particular because it's been listed for years. It's been overpriced, sitting on the market, unsold for years. And while I didn't intend to create an urgent warning to all real estate professionals about what happens when you overprice a listing which is in terrible condition, but the home behind me definitely qualifies. Now, I had intended to walk through the house and show it to you. In fact, I've shown this home to multiple buyers for multiple years, and I've given them all the same feedback that I'm going to give to you right now, which is that the home needs updating. It is a disaster. It's in terrible condition. It does not show well. It is not landscaped. It's an original condition home that needs a ton of TLC. It's overpriced by at least $100,000. And there's 0% chance it's ever going to sell. Certainly not at that price. But let's get back into that urgent warning that's out there right now that people must know about because the media is running with this story like wildfire. And this story is the biggest lie I've ever heard in a long time. Now, I heard a long time ago a saying, which is whoever tells the biggest lie wins. How's it going? And while that certainly has never been my experience, it seems to be what works in politics. And this particular lie is the biggest whopper I've heard in a long time. And I'm sharing about it because I got a phone call from somebody just like you, somebody who's been looking for their dream home and dream lifestyle, and somebody that I've been talking to for a while. They live someplace else. They don't live in Florida, but they definitely watch the news. And despite the fact that they found the same home that I just showed you, and I told them the exact same thing that I told you, which is that this house is completely overpriced and it's never going to sell there. That was not their biggest concern. Their biggest concern was their safety traveling to Florida. And while I watch a lot of content and I like to think I'm up to speed as to what's going on in the news and certainly in the markets, this particular advisory or urgent warning escaped my attention because it should be very clear by just looking at me that I am Black with white freckles. And my life, safety, and pursuit of happiness must be at risk because of this. And I'm going to go walk over to the basketball courts here so that I'm not targeted by these clearly aggressive and hostile neighbors that are probably looking to harm me, although that's hard to really determine because everybody waves and says hello. And they do that to everyone who lives here because this is a friendly community for everyone, to everyone. In fact, when people move here, it happens to be the thing that they notice first is they can't believe how welcoming and friendly the community is to people who just moved in. Black, white, red, yellow, green, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Nobody cares. They just want to live their life and be happy. But that's definitely not what the NAACP wants you to believe. And I'm going to go into their membership and debunk all of this nonsense. But let's be totally clear. But as of yesterday, the NAACP put out a travel advisory, and I'm just reading this, which warns Florida is openly hostile towards African Americans. This is complete and utter bullshit. And if you disagree, please leave it in the comments down below. But do me a favor, follow me on Twitter because I can actually respond to the comments there. I will never respond to comments here because I don't want to be deplatformed. But I absolutely read all of them, and I definitely want to comment. So Twitter's the place for that. And very soon I'll be on Rumble, so you can watch me there in the event that this channel ever gets taken down, which I suspect will likely happen, given the fact we're in an election cycle and folks don't want to know the truth. They don't want to hear what's actually going on. And while I primarily concern myself with what the housing market truth is, I'm also going to talk about every single other thing that I must talk about because nobody's talking about it. They're afraid, and I am not afraid. But I would be afraid, and the client who I was speaking to, or prospective client that I was speaking to, is afraid because they read this and they watched the media and they got scared. And they, although they found a house that they thought might be a good deal, which it will be if we get into the process of negotiation, but I don't know that we're going to get that far because they're afraid that they're going to be targeted and that Florida is hostile to people. And that's not the case, or at least it's not my experience. Unless, of course, you're socialist, in which case, well, then you get what you get and go move to Russia or China or Cuba or wherever you want to, where socialism is cool. But socialism is not cool. And if you don't know that, then please go study history. This is not my opinion. This has been proven over hundreds of years. It's a great concept in theory, but in reality, it is hell. Hell on earth. That's what it is. That's not what Florida is. In fact, it's the complete opposite. And let's be abundantly clear here. The NAACP is a wild left-wing organization. And I know there was a time where that wasn't true back in the days of MLK, but those days are long gone. Today, it's not like that. Today, it is a wild left-wing organization. And the media is running with it full steam ahead. They're promoting the story as if it were true. And I can tell you from the client that I spoke to, people are scared. That's why I'm doing this video. My intent is not to be political about anything, but I've got to tell you the truth because this is bullshit. But to be clear, if you believe this to be true and you believe this rhetoric and you want it to be true, then do me a favor. Don't move to Florida because Florida is not for you. Don't move here. Don't vacation here. Stay wherever you are. Shelter in place. Enjoy where you're living. Enjoy the taxes. Enjoy the homelessness. Enjoy the drug addicts. Enjoy the lawlessness. Enjoy the chaos. Enjoy the murder. Live it up in Cali or Illinois or New York or wherever it is that you're at. It's much safer there. Please stay there and max out your life to the fullest. Make sure you're wearing double masks because you can't be too safe. And please believe everything that you read, especially this nonsense from the NAACP. And I can promise you, we will be very happy with you not clogging up our traffic, even more than it already is with all the people who have chosen to escape where they're living and max out South Florida living to the fullest. And I don't mean to say South Florida, max out Florida living to the fullest. Stay where you're at, enjoy your perverse politics, and we will remain perfectly content in our red state paradise. Because the truth is, if you love socialism, you will hate it here. Don't move to Florida. This is clearly a publicity stunt to get DeSantis knocked out of the race. The media wants Trump to be the candidate. But Chris, how can you say that? Because Trump gets eyeballs. Trump gets views. Trump gets ratings. And whether he gets elected or not is irrelevant. These media companies want to cash in and they want to get him on TV, period. They want him on their networks as soon as possible. So let's get Ron out of the picture because the media wants Trump. But this advisory goes on to say the NAACP issued a formal travel advisory for Florida on Saturday in response to what the organization describes as Governor Ron DeSantis's aggressive attempts to erase Black history and to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools. And the civil rights organization is the latest to caution travelers against visiting Florida. And the League of United Latin American Citizens and the LGBTQ advocacy group Equality Florida previously issued travel advisories. Meanwhile, the members of these committees or these groups either are Florida residents or have visited Florida numerous times throughout the pandemic, throughout Ron DeSantis's term. So despite these travel advisories, what these people are saying and what they're doing are two very different things. Period. This is nonsense. What's good for the goose is not good for the gander in this particular situation. This is just manipulation. And this is scaring folks that want to live in Florida. But I'm here to tell you, none of this is true. But it goes on to say, under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, the state of Florida has become hostile to Black Americans. And according to this advisory, under the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis, the state of Florida has become hostile to Black Americans and in direct conflict with the democratic ideals that our union was founded upon. And that we should know that democracy will prevail because its defenders are prepared to stand up and fight. We're not backing down, and we encourage our allies to join us in the battle for the soul of our nation. Did I mention that the same guy who said that has visited Florida like 10 times in the last year? And many members of the leadership of the NAACP are Florida residents. Let's just not forget about that. I think it's kind of important information when analyzing this nonsense garbage. Because as I mentioned earlier, whoever tells the biggest lie wins. And isn't it interesting that this particular advisory was put out before DeSantis is expected to launch his presidential campaign? Isn't that timing somewhat suspicious? Isn't it somewhat convenient? Does the timing of this matter to you at all? Because to me, it does. And to be abundantly clear, I want people to be included. I want people to be welcome. I want people to max out their freedoms and enjoy their best life ever here in Florida or wherever they choose to live. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what the country is all about. And I stand for it 1,000%. So I'm prepared to stand up and fight for that. But all this other noise is straight up bullshit. And I won't stand for that at all. Now, I hope you found this content valuable. And if you did, please subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be on Rumble soon. You can check me out there. If you're thinking about buying or selling, please reach out because we would love to help. And check out my next video because I suspect you will love it a lot. And until next time,